Cheap knockoffs of spotting scopes often promise crystal clear 30x zoom and then leave you squinting at a blurry mess when the sun sets. I've been there, buying a budget model, lugging it out on a chilly morning, only to discover the optics fog up and the focus dial feels like you're turning a cheap kitchen faucet. That kind of buyer regret is what makes me pause before I click Add to Cart, especially when I'm looking at something as pricey as a high-end spotting scope. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Vortex Razor HD 2248 by 65 angled spotting scope feels like a different animal entirely. From the moment I took it out of the box, the first thing that struck me was the heft. It's not something you'd toss into a backpack for a weekend hike without a plan. That weight is largely glass, though, and the glass is where the magic lives. Vortex has packed a triplet apochromatic lens system together with extra low dispersion, ED, glass, which means the colors stay true and you get far less chromatic aberration than you'd see in cheaper scopes. In real-world terms, when I was out on a misty marsh at dusk watching a flock of sandpipers, the birds stayed razor-sharp and the background didn't bleed into a purple haze. That kind of color fidelity is a huge win if you need to identify species or track game at a distance. The focus mechanism is another area where the Razor HD separates itself from the pack. The helical focus dial feels solid, turning with a satisfying resistance that lets you make micro-adjustments without overshooting. In practice, that smoothness shines when you're tracking a moving animal. I was on a riverbank watching a bobcat glide along the water's edge. The ability to nudge the focus a fraction at a time meant the cat never slipped out of a clear view, even as it moved closer and then farther away. The scope also stays trim while you're adjusting, so the balance on the tripod doesn't shift dramatically, which helps maintain a steady line of sight during long observation sessions. Now, let's talk about the conditions you'll actually use this thing in. The Razor HD is O-ring sealed and argon purged, giving it a waterproof and fogproof rating that lives up to the claim. I tested it in a sudden rainstorm during a birding outing in the Pacific Northwest, and there was not a single droplet inside the optics. Even after the rain stopped, the scope didn't fog up as the temperature dropped, a common problem with cheaper models that simply aren't sealed well. If you're a hunter who spends mornings in damp fields or a birdwatcher who chases waterfowl across marshes, that level of environmental protection is worth the extra bulk. Speaking of bulk, the 65mm objective and the angled eyepiece design make this scope a bit of a handful. It's definitely larger than a compact 50mm spotting scope you might see on a backpacking list. That means you'll need a sturdy tripod. The included Vortex tripod isn't a cheap plastic stand, but you'll still want a higher quality carbon fiber option if you plan to use it for extended periods. The angled head helps keep the eye at a comfortable position when you're looking up at a treetop, but it does add a learning curve if you're used to straight-through optics. Some first-time owners find the eye relief a tad short, especially if they wear glasses, so you might have to experiment with positioning or consider adding a diopter adjustment if you need that extra wiggle room. Where the Razor HD truly earns its price tag is in the consistency of the image across its magnification range. Dropping from 48x down to 22x doesn't introduce the soft edges you sometimes see in lower-end scopes. Instead, the image stays bright and detailed, which is a boon for anyone who wants to scan a wide area quickly and then zero in for a closer look. I used it for a casual stargazing session, and even at 48x the Milky Way's core was still discernible without the stars turning into a smeared glow. That said, the high magnification does mean a narrower field of view, so you have to be deliberate about where you point the scope. If you're after quick, panoramic sweeps of a landscape, a lower magnification binocular might feel more natural. Who should actually consider buying this? If you're a serious birding enthusiast who travels to remote locations, a hunter who needs reliable performance in rain, snow, or dust, or a nature photographer who wants a portable telephoto view without lugging a full-size camera lens, the Razor HD fits the bill. The unlimited, unconditional lifetime VIP warranty is also a comfort factor. You're essentially paying for a piece of equipment that Vortex stands behind for the long haul. For those who spend weekends in the backyard with a feeder or a local park, you'll probably find the price and size excessive. A 30-40x compact scope or even a good pair of binoculars will give you more than enough detail without the extra weight. On the flip side, There are a couple of practical trade-offs that you